To prove my longing for my childhood sweetheart, I spent 5 whole years offering her incense, flowers, and snacks every day, hoping she would bless me with wealth and marry a rich beauty soon. Who would have thought that in the 6th year, she would come back alive and sabotage me? I heard you spread rumors everywhere. I'm no longer here. I burst into tears on the spot, feeling utterly wronged. Where is justice? No wonder I've been so poor all these years. So I must have encountered a scam in the afterlife. All 5 years of incense burned in vain. It happened to be Qingming festival, so I got up at 5 in the morning, picked a few wildflowers along the way, and hurried toward the cemetery. The closer I got to the cemetery, the more stifled I felt. It's really infuriating. It's been 5 whole years, and you won't even delay my dream. Every year I burn so much paper money for you. All my feelings are for the ungrateful wolf. Hey, I'm talking to you seriously. Can't you come back and delay your dream to see me? In the tombstone photo, her eyes curve with curves. She quietly looked at me. I gently placed the wildflowers I picked casually in front of the monument. Manhwa, I specially picked these wildflowers for you. Don't complain about me for being boring anymore. I'm a dreamy gourd. I squatted down, lit the gold ingot, and muttered non-stop. Every time I come to see you, buying flowers and joss paper costs quite a bit. You're well liked over there, so hurry and help me build some connections. Bless me with great wealth, or grant me a wealthy woman. If I have money, I'll burn more joss paper for you in the future. I'll buy you the most beautiful flowers. A cool breeze blows through the woods. I'm in a hurry. You have to hurry and help me get it. All right, I still have to rush back to work, so I won't keep you company. I waved at the tombstone and turned to leave. On the way back, I passed by a lottery shop. My heart skipped a beat, and I stopped and walked in. I spent 10 yuan on a lottery ticket and actually won 500 yuan. Yu Baiwei is really a girl who never needs to be remembered. Next time I'll visit her, and I'll reward her with a bottle of Coke. Just as I reached the office building, I happened to run into my direct female supervisor. As soon as she saw me, her eyes lit up. Her greasy palm landed on my shoulder and she deliberately pinched me twice. Shenyanin, I've told you before, I have an apartment near the company. If you want, you can move in any time. I quietly took half a step back, avoiding her next move. Thank you for your kindness, President Yen. I'm afraid my girlfriend won't be happy about it. The female boss immediately frowned. You have a girlfriend, but I've never heard you mention it. Invite me out for a meal when you have time. I nodded lightly. No problem, but I can't call her out. I can only bring her over for you to see. Her expression instantly darkened, thinking I was teasing her on purpose. What do you mean by that? My eyes reddened, and I pretended to be sad as I spoke. My girlfriend has long been gone. Didn't you want to see her? When I have time, I'll give her some incense and have her come to talk to you in person at night. That's enough. The female boss's face instantly turned extremely ugly. So young, always talking about feudal superstitions and all sorts of messes. I pretended to be serious, cautiously leaning close to her ear. President Yen, don't be skeptical. Earlier, a woman was pestering me relentlessly. A few days later, she jumped into the river and got into trouble. It's really bizarre, it's been in the news. Should I check it now and get lost? My female boss was so frightened her face turned ashen, angrily turning to leave. I calmly brushed off the dust from my foot. She looked relaxed. This old woman is older than my grandmother, but her mind is filthy, full of twisted thoughts. She's a complete scoundrel. After today, she doesn't dare touch me anymore, but she doesn't dare to harass me. But all kinds of difficulties at work kept coming one after another, constantly making things difficult for me. I couldn't stand it anymore, so I casually wished her a happy holiday. I grabbed my jacket and resigned without any care. Kept my word. After work, I really did bring a bottle of Coke. Went to the cemetery again to see you Baiwei. I guess I'm about to lose my job. Here's this bottle of cola for you. Take your time drinking it. Bless me to get through this tough time and find a new job soon. If you want to drink a new drink soon, then hurry up and get into it. Please bless me to get ashore soon. Sure enough, temporary drinks are always the most tempting for Baiwei. I hadn't even left the cemetery when she suddenly manifested her power on me. That terrible female boss suddenly fainted and was rushed to the ICU. That night, the group made a sudden move, and the new leader took over the position. I was overjoyed on the spot, but of course, I wasn't the only one happy. Most of my colleagues in the company had long been bullied by that old woman, and everyone secretly cheered. The next day, as soon as I stepped through the company gate and hadn't even settled in, my colleague Guahai immediately came over, his face full of gossiping excitement. Bro, you're amazing, hiding your true strength. I heard our old female boss is hiding everything. You made me angry and sent me to the ICU. Really? I didn't respond, but secretly I laughed inside. It's not that I'm amazing. It's my late childhood sweetheart who was so helpful. At least this little girl has a conscience. She didn't let me stay 5 years in a row for nothing, burning incense and paper offerings, feeding snacks and flowers every day. And today's good news doesn't stop there. Listening to everyone's discussion, the company has a female director from the starry sky, perfectly unleashing her looks, style, and temperament on both fronts. The whole company erupted. Guahai leaned over next to me, grinning mischievously and full of envy. You were a step too late just now, it's such a pity. Your looks are stunning. I chuckled and didn't take it seriously at all. How good could it be? I'll see it for myself later. We chatted for a few more minutes. Soon, the department manager suddenly called out loudly, "Everyone gather. Meeting room." I followed the crowd into the meeting room. Habitually, I hid in the farthest corner and sat quietly. After waiting quietly for a moment, a crisp sound of high heels stomping on the ground suddenly came from outside the corridor. The rhythm was steady, the presence was strong. Immediately after, a cold, familiar female voice slowly sounded. "Hello everyone. I am the company's new director." I instinctively looked up, and the moment my eyes met that face, I blurted out, "Damn!" My heart suddenly stopped beating. Yubaiwei froze in place. Could it be that this girl heard me make wishes every day and rushed up from below to surprise me? The woman clearly sensed my burning and shocked gaze, tilted her head slightly, and met my gaze with precise, unmistakable eyes. Guahai behind me hadn't noticed anything was wrong yet, excitedly muttering quietly, "How about that? I told you she's super beautiful, right? I'm not lying to you, right?" I nodded blankly, my mind blank, unable to recover at all. The woman raised an eyebrow faintly. With a calm and composed expression, I walked still to the director's exclusive seat at the front and took a seat. At this moment, inside me, a storm was already raging, surging endlessly. Yubaiwei had come back to life. No, could it be that he never died? Impossible. Back then, before I even had time to think much, several senior executives in the front row had already taken turns reporting work to the new female director one by one. Her expression was stern and indifferent, her aura overwhelming the entire audience but silent. Who would have thought that this aloof sister you in front of me was in first grade, still a little girl with a runny nose always following me around? Suddenly, someone tugged at my arm. "Kid, you really can't keep up with the typical style. As soon as he walks in, you stare at him. Do you really think the new director can't see him right now?" I turned and gave Guahai a reassuring look. Got it. The iron tree is about to bloom." Guahai grinned mischievously. But I couldn't be bothered to bother with him. Who understands my ass? Who can understand how I feel right now? My childhood sweetheart who disappeared for 5 years has come back to life. And now she's my direct boss. Anyone else would be busy. Every second of the meeting feels like a torment, and every day feels like a year. I don't know how long I've been enduring it. I finally got the best words. Meeting adjourned. Once everyone left one by one, I immediately stepped forward, planning to have a proper confrontation with this girl. "You still have something to do." He pretended to be a stranger and looked at me, his eyes full of distancing. I instantly got angry. "Yubaiwei, what are you pretending for? How dare you deny me?" His expression darkened, and his tone was as cold as a first meeting. "Shin Mianen, right? You mistook me for someone else. Today is our first meeting." Hearing that, I was furious. Seeing him pretend to be strangers, I grabbed his wrist and rolled up his sleeve. "This scar on your arm was bitten by my dog when I was little. I can admit it's wrong, and you still dare to deny it? And your butt." "Hey, stop, alright, it hurts so much. Shin, at least save me some face." Hearing that familiar nickname to the core, I reluctantly let go. Friends around me either called me by my full name or casually called me Shin. He's the only one in the world who keeps calling me Brother Shin. Because I was slow to react as a kid. Every time he joked, everyone would laugh for ages before I realized what was happening. That nickname was stuck to him for so many years. Looking at the vivid, rosy complexion before me, not a trace of anyone present, I couldn't suppress the 5-year pent-up doubt in my heart and blurted out the question I'd been holding back for a long time. "Didn't you die long ago? How did you come back to life just fine? Could it be that the cola I gave you yesterday expired? You deliberately climbed up here to settle accounts with me and get back at me." Yubaiwei glared at me fiercely, his eyes full of disdain and speechlessness. "Who told you I was dead? Almost a blind rumor. Yubaiwei and I are true childhood friends, growing up together, inseparable. He's always been a mischievous little clever kid, full of little schemes. Every time my mom gives me candy or snacks, most of it gets tricked by his sweet talk and ends up eating it himself. I get so angry I awkwardly ignore him. He immediately pretended to be pitiful, crying and complaining to the elders. Every time it was always me. Our bond has been bound since childhood. We've been in the same class since kindergarten, all the way through high school, never apart. All these years, I always followed his little tail, and no matter how I tried to shake it off, I couldn't shake it off. During the summer vacation of my junior year, I wanted to go out and relax, planning to climb Yulong Snow Mountain alone. I knew the path through the mountains was dangerous, and I was afraid he'd worry and make a mess. I never dared to tell him. This girl has been clingy to me since I was little. Our families get along very well, and every year on New Year's Eve, we gather together to eat together. We've always been like family. If he found out, Tianning would cry and make a fuss not to let me go. He wouldn't let me leave even a single step. But somehow someone leaked the news. In the end, he found out. On the phone, he was crying uncontrollably, accusing and complaining at me, accusing me of being irresponsible and abandoning me in the end. Hearing this, I was speechless and helpless. He insisted on coming to find me, but I forcibly stopped him. After much persuasion and promise him a bunch of conditions, he finally reluctantly gave up on the idea. I promised him that I'd be back with him in at most half a month. Before hanging up, I casually sighed. Not having you by my side every day is really a bit uncomfortable. But this girl immediately became narcissistic and confessed honestly. Brother Shin, did you miss me? Who knew he secretly bought a ticket and came alone that night without telling his family. But the bus he was on was in a serious accident. Fortunately, timely rescue saved his life. He was covered in injuries, covered in blood. He forced himself to comfort me, saying, "Don't be afraid. I'm fine. I won't die. I haven't married you yet, so I can't bear to leave you." He told me not to overthink and not to blame myself for this. But not a couple of days later, I received bad news. Yu Baiwei was infected after surgery and was gone. I didn't even make it to his last meeting. The night before, we were still on the phone, and he even asked me to keep it secret for him so my friends wouldn't worry. Just one day later, we were separated forever. Yu Baiwei looked at me and slowly explained. I was unconscious at the time and was rushed abroad for treatment. The situation was extremely dangerous, and it was uncertain whether I would survive. The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. So I just told everyone I wasn't here. I was silent for several seconds, forcing myself to suppress the urge to punch him. Since he's not dead, then pay back what you owe me all these years. Yu Baiwei instinctively took a step back, looking like he kept his face shut and refused to admit it. When did I ever owe you money? I immediately counted on my fingers and settled accounts with him. For the past 5 years, I've been burning incense for you every day, fresh flowers and spirit stones. Altogether, if not 100,000, then at least 80,000. After hearing this, he turned and was about to slip away, stubbornly said, "Then just pretend I'm dead." I finally caught my personal god of wealth. How could I let him run away so easily? I immediately reached out and tightly held his arm. "I don't care. Just consider it my preemptive reason for following you. You clearly said this before. From now on, you have to let me live off you without worry." Yu Baiwei's lips curled into a slight smile, and he raised his hand to gently flick my forehead, his tone doting. "Sis, I'll take you to a big meal. We'll go downstairs straight to the buffet." I look at the food in front of me. I secretly complained. This is what he called a feast. During the meal, Yu Baiwei talked to me about his experiences abroad over the years. While showing off my food, I casually asked, "Then why did you just stay abroad and suddenly come back?" For someone I had longed for day and night, thinking about for so many years, his gaze was burning and staring straight at me, far bolder and more intense than when I was young. I felt embarrassed by his gaze and didn't dare to meet my gaze, so I could only bury my head in my food, my eyes flustered. After eating and drinking our fill, we walked out of the restaurant. Outside, the night was deep and heavy, with stars hanging across the sky. He walked me to the apartment building and shamelessly insisted on going upstairs for a drink. After all, we were childhood sweethearts, so close to each other. "It's so late, and you let me go home alone as a girl. You have no nerve to do it." Since he was treating you to a big meal, I softened and reluctantly agreed. I went to the kitchen to fetch him water, leaving him alone in the living room. By the time I realized what was happening, it was already too late. Yu Baiwei was standing on the balcony, staring at the photo of him displayed on the wall. His eyes curved with a smile, tears welling up from the laughter. "Shingu, I didn't expect you to secretly keep my photos. Be honest. Have you harbored ill intentions toward me since you were little? Have you been thinking about me all along?" I helplessly rubbed my swollen forehead and told the truth. "That was originally arranged for you." In front of the photo, several snacks were neatly arranged, all of which I keep for years of worship. Yu Baiwei's face instantly fell. He looked so aggrieved, feeling betrayed. "You just gave me these cheap things. Don't you know what kind of fruit I like?" He's been pampered since childhood, and everything he likes to eat is ridiculously expensive. With my meager salary, how could I afford him so early? I coughed guiltily, but still stubborn. I grabbed a pack of snacks, tore them open, and stuffed them into my mouth, crunching them away. "You know what I mean? I can eat these snacks myself when I'm hungry, so I won't waste them. Besides, that's not all. You're not dead now, right? It's just right for us to share the food together. You Baiwei gnawed on the biscuit, muttering quietly while chewing. If I really died, I'd be so mad that you could crawl out of the grave alive. Early the next morning, I was abruptly awakened by the noise inside the house. I groggily rubbed my eyes and got up. When I turned around, I saw that familiar figure busy in the kitchen. I was so frightened that my whole body surged. Damn, this is a ghost. I was stunned for several seconds before I realized. I immediately let out a silly laugh. Forgot you came back to life long ago. Didn't you go back last night? How did you come to me? How did you come in? He was serving hot soup while giving me at Sunder a look. Password. Huh? It's my birthday. With your intelligence. The password I set was incredibly simple. Ever since I was little, all my account passwords were his birthday. At first, I was forced by him. If I didn't change my password, he would come up with new ways every day. I just couldn't handle it, and after using it for a while, I was just too lazy to change it. I got used to it until now. I got used to it, but I was too lazy to change. I stubbornly defended myself. I was about to step forward and try his cooking, but with a casual remark, he froze me in place. Shinyenin, I announce, starting today we're officially living together. I followed his finger and saw 2 oversized suitcases in the living room, clearly regular drivers. Without hesitation, I refused on the spot, and Yu Baiwei immediately put on a pitiful look. My eyes were slightly red. We've been childhood sweethearts, and you can't bear to let me sleep with you right after returning to China. I don't even have a place to stay now. He held up 2 fingers and earnestly swore. I'll just stay a few days and find a suitable place. I'll move out right away. Definitely won't cling to you, still won't budge. His tone suddenly changed, suddenly grabbing my arm and gently shaking it. His tone so sweet it was cloying. Brother, I'm begging you. Cold and aloof sister Yu suddenly acting cute and spoiled. Who could resist that? Her eyes sparkled like a well-behaved puppy. Her fingertips quietly tickling my palm. Tickled and I lost my mind, almost blindly agreed. After Yu Baiwei officially moved in, we moved in together. Only then did I realize I had brought myself into huge trouble. In the evening in the bedroom, he was holding 2 pairs of underwear, gesturing back and forth in front of me. His tone full of teasing. Brother Shen, be honest, I look good in this lace. This little triangle still looks better. I quickly raised my hand to cover my eyes, but curiosity got the better of me. My fingertips couldn't help but quietly part and secretly trace through between my fingers. He had just come out of the shower, already loosely wrapped in a thin, pitiful towel. Most of his skin was exposed, his figure blood-stained, incredibly seductive. I felt uneasy, my heart racing, but he looked calm and composed, not shy at all. What was there to be afraid of? The older he got, the less promising he became. He got more and more shy. When I was a kid, playing with my butt bare, it's not like I haven't seen it before. My ears instantly turned red. My whole face burned like a fever, burning hot. How can you even say that? Back in high school, you always secretly touched me. I was so nervous. I quickly stepped forward and covered his mouth to stop him from rambling. Unexpectedly, he was bold and gently licked my palm with his tongue. In an instant, a sense of suma swept through my soul like an electric current. My whole body instantly stiffened in place, my mind blank, unable to move. He took advantage of the moment, pulled me into his arms, wrapped him tightly, brought his nose close to my earlobe, and chuckled softly. His breath was warm and he slapped me. I heard from a colleague at work that you have a deceased girlfriend in your heart. In this life, you won't marry anyone but him. Let me ask you, could that person be me? He said this while slowly leaning closer to me with a mischievous grin. The faint scent of lavender shower gel scented it. They kept getting right into my nose. We agreed to pretend not to know each other at the company the whole time. We got along in several ways, but this girl always loved to break the rules. Behind the scenes, she tried all sorts of ways to flirt with me, leaving me at a loss. After work that day, my colleague Guohai came over and invited me out for a dinner. I shook the boxed meal in my hand, politely declined. I'm not going. I'll just have a simple boxed meal. Guohai looked shocked, staring at me with a chilling look. Damn, what's going on? When did you actually know how to cook for yourself? The sun rose in the west. I nodded guiltily. I dare not be honest. Why does our new female director eat exactly the same? I pretended to be calm and composed. Coincidental, purely coincidental, definitely a coincidence. Guohai didn't think much of it, just indifferently said to Bai Shou, Tonight is Xiaoyu's birthday, and all our old colleagues refused. What gift are you making? Xiao Lu, he mentioned, is a colleague we used to be very close with. Even after resigning, he often comes to online gatherings privately. These past few days, Yu Baiwei has been causing trouble every day. I've long forgotten about it, couldn't remember at all. I scratched my head and could only make vague excuses. I probably won't be going tonight. Guohai immediately stared at me suspiciously. What have you been up to lately? No dinner invitations, no drinks, and you run off work faster than anyone else. You kid, are you secretly dating? When he said the real thing was, I quickly denied it. How could that be? Don't guess nonsense. I tried to avoid it for ages, but in the end, I couldn't argue and agreed to meet at the usual place. Just before getting off work, I finally mustered the courage to message Yu Baiwei to report that I have something to do on my end tonight. You should eat by yourself first. He almost immediately replied, What is it? You promised me to watch a movie together at home tonight. I quickly sent a begging meme, apologizing and coaxing, saying all kinds of sweet things, but after sending the message, the chat window went quiet. They didn't reply to me again. After work, my heart was unsettled, and I followed Guohai all the way to the reserved hotel room. Guohai kept excitedly repeating that he had been inquiring about this place for ages. The specialty dishes were outstanding and the taste was amazing, but I had no interest at all. No matter how good the food was, it didn't whet my appetite at all. I quickly arrived at the restaurant. Casually tossing the birthday gift to Xiao Lu, I realized that the specialty he mentioned was literally the literal meaning. Several boldly dressed women walked in slowly, first greeting softly, then the indoor lights dimmed. Birds and white mist spread out, and they gathered around us, softly chanting and singing. Guohai joined in, singing and dancing, waving and cheering. It was very lively. After Xiao Lu invited me repeatedly, I was pulled up to join the fun. The atmosphere at the scene grew even more lively, until one of the women grabbed my hand and accidentally touched her private parts. Guohai hurriedly sent the women away. At the same time, she hurriedly reached out to pull me. Shenyanin, let go. This is President Yu, not some witch you summoned. Right now, I'm so gritty I wish I could find a place to crawl into right here. Who would deliberately target someone like that? But I didn't dare look up at Yu Baiwei directly. So, since I hadn't drunk before, I simply got drunk and pretended to be drunk in her arms. Guohai tried to force me up, but Yu Baiwei spoke coldly to stop her. No need. I'll take her home. Guohai hesitated a little. This probably isn't quite appropriate, is it? Yu Baiwei let out a cold cry. Didn't Shenyanin ever mention it to you? I am her childhood friend she's long missed. Guohai stood there stunned, unable to react for a moment. Yu Baiwei helped me turn and leave. We're already home, yet you still pretend to be asleep. If you keep pretending, I'll just shove you down the toilet. Yu Baiwei casually put me on the bed. I pretended not to hear, still sleeping soundly with my eyes closed, dressed in a dress and refused to wake up. A faint mist came from my ear, until a hand rested on the soft skin. I suddenly opened my eyes. I tried to struggle to dodge, but was held down tightly, unable to move. There was someone ready beside me. Why spend money and get involved with others? I felt uneasy. She didn't dare look up at all. Only when she started to speak did she realize her voice was especially weak. What do you want? Yu Baiwei pressed her step by step, still pressing for answers. Between her and me, who has the better touch? The answer was obvious. Naturally, Yu Baiwei had to take the lead. While thinking to myself, I instinctively felt the difference. I quietly pressed Min's slightly dry lips, noticing my little movement. Yu Baiwei's lips curled into a slight movement, then leaned down and steadied herself. My eyes widened instantly. Happiness came so suddenly. At that moment, I was truly completely swept away. The atmosphere gradually spiraled out of control, until I could barely breathe. She finally let go, her question tinged with anger. Doesn't it feel good? I mumbled a few muffled groans, too lazy to respond. Yu Baiwei turned my face away, her tone warning. If I catch you messing around outside, you'll just be waiting to be punished. In the middle of the night, I dream, always feeling like something is rubbing against me. When I woke up, I realized it was Yu Baiwei. Her eyes sparkled as she lay on her side by the bed, staring at me repeatedly. I lifted my leg and kicked her off the bed. Why are you lying on my bed? Yu Baiwei got up from the floor, her face dark. It was clearly you who held me last night and refused to let go. It was impossible. I immediately denied it adamantly, firmly refusing to admit it. As soon as I finished speaking, she pushed off her pajamas right in front of me. I hurriedly raised my hand to cover my eyes. Don't mess around. Girls should know how to be reserved and respectful. Now that I remember how to be reserved, I was so reserved. Why didn't I see you so well-behaved last night? The marks left on my skin were still vivid and clear. The scenes from last night flashed through my mind like slideshows. I nervously defended myself, saying I don't remember anything. Yu Baiwei was silent for a moment, then coldly threw out, "All right, just treat it as being bubbled by stray dogs." From that day on, Yu Baiwei never left me on her own initiative, becoming cold and distant. If I don't reach out to her, she never starts a conversation. At the company, we're completely strangers. Apart from necessary work-related communication, there's no other interaction. Guohai keeps whispering in my ear all day, "Xinyanan, can't you take the initiative to coax her? I don't want to make things difficult for myself." These past few days, Yu Baiwei has become a cold and domineering CEO, constantly finding ways to arrange jobs for us and deliberately making things difficult. I know exactly what she's thinking. It's just that we once promised to stay together when we grow up. Although we shared a deep bond as childhood friends, the 5 years left between us could never be erased. Back then, she left without warning, and now I'm used to life without her. Yet she suddenly barged into my life. I'm really not sure if she'll suddenly leave again. In this relationship, I always seem to be led by her emotions. The Cold War between Yu Baiwei and me is about to end, quietly breaking after an old friend's reunion. After Yu Baiwei returns, we got in touch with a group of old classmates we used to be close with. Since we were still in a Cold War, Yu Baiwei and I deliberately staggered our schedules and rushed to the private room of the gathering. As soon as she walked in, she instantly became the center of attention. Her best friend was the first to hurry up. Baiwei, I listened inside. When we first found out about your accident, we all worried for you. The one who felt the most was Xinyanan. During that time, she was lost and almost slipped into the school's scenic room and had an accident. What? Yu Baiwei was completely shocked. She had never heard anything about this before. Suddenly being brought up in public made me so embarrassed that I quickly shrank into a corner to avoid the quiet. Throughout the entire gathering, Yu Baiwei's gaze kept lingering on me, so I could only grit my teeth. Barely chatting with the people around me was a bit flustered. In the end, I couldn't stand her burning gaze. I used the excuse of going to the restroom to quietly leave, but just as I stepped out of the hotel, Yu Baiwei stopped me head-on. "You really did it because of me back then." Her voice trembled slightly, her eyes full of disbelief. I lowered my head, staring at my toes. Such a shameful past. I didn't want to mention it at all. Back then, everyone said she had passed away. I was filled with guilt. I spent my days in despair and dazed, accidentally slipped into the water, and on top of that, I couldn't swim myself. I always explained it to others, but in others' eyes, it turned into a scene of falling into despair for love, nearly dying for love. The next second, Yu Baiwei suddenly threw herself into my arms. "Sorry, Brother Shin. I thought you were already tired of me. I thought I was gone. But you actually felt relieved and at ease." Hearing this, the emotions I'd been holding back for so long couldn't be contained. I lost my temper on the spot, venting all the grievances I'd accumulated over the past 5 years. "If you really cared about me, why haven't you heard from me at all for 5 years? Why haven't you even sent me a single message? After we reunited, I've been holding back the sentence in my heart and wanted to ask. 5 whole years, 1 phone call, 1 message. Not a single email was given, and she never took the initiative to explain a word. Today, I couldn't help but ask. She was the one who broke it first, but it was a promise never to part." Yu Baiwei quietly leaned against me, letting me complain and scold her. She didn't say a word. I don't know how much time passed. Maybe she waited until I calmed down before she finally spoke hoarsely. "How could I not want to contact you? I think you're about to go crazy." Her eyes reddened and her voice trembled uncontrollably. Back then, the doctor said I would never stand up again and would be disabled for the rest of my life. Over the years, I have been saving money desperately for treatment, pretending to be the most well-pretended and most human-like fake. I just want to stand before you again in my best self. As soon as she finished speaking, she gently rolled up her pant leg. Only then did I notice the unusual mark on her knee. "I'm sorry, I walked too slowly on your path." My mind went blank in an instant, filled with all the doubts from before. The confusion and barriers now have all the answers. No wonder she never casually rolls up her panties or takes off her trousers in front of me. Now, I'm no different from an ordinary person, except that a few marks on my body look bad. "Brother Shin, will you dislike me?" She nervously took my hand, her eyes full of nervousness as she looked at me. "The promise we made as kids. Can it still be kept? Can it still be kept? It was just a joking promise made in our youth." Years later, that little girl with braided braids finally came back to me to fulfill her promise. Suddenly, the riverbank burst forth with a sky full of sunset light, brilliant light pouring down, tightly intertwining our figures. I took a deep breath, a relaxed smile appearing on my face. Of course it counts. I'm not like some people who only talk empty words and break promises. Yu Baiwei's lips were soft and sweet. After officially confirming our relationship, Yu Baiwei returned to her mischievous, youthful self. She loves to play all sorts of little pranks, often tormenting me like a wolf in the back. At work, she doesn't hide our relationship at all. She always uses work as an excuse to trick me into her office and get close to Sedata. In her words, this was compensation for the recent Cold War and the sulking. Who told you to act like you didn't want to take responsibility back then? I politely declined Guohai's invitation 8 times in the 9th round, and finally on the 9th time, I ended up with Yu Baiwei several times. After 3 squabbles, I sneaked out while she was sound asleep, planning to go to the meeting. Just as I reached the door, a lazy, hoarse voice came from behind. Where are you going? I quickly turned and forced a flattering smile. The spare protective gear at home was running low. I'm going out to buy something. As soon as I finished speaking, a trace of sourness hit me. Could it be that I'm secretly flirting outside under the pretense of going out shopping? How could that be? You alone is enough, and besides, you know my abilities well. Every 3 hours I couldn't wrap things up. Yu Baiwei whispered a few words before finally letting me go. It was cold outside, so I decided to go buy some. Without giving me a chance to say anything, she stuffed me into the warm, cozy quilt. These past few days, she had been really exhausted from pestering me. I drifted into a hazy and gradually fell into a deep sleep. When I woke up again, the room was pitch black, so quiet it made my heart uneasy. Yu Baiwei still hadn't returned. My heart suddenly sank, and an inexplicable sense of unease arose. Just then, my phone suddenly rang. It was a call from the hospital. Hello, the owner was in a car accident on the way. Please come over as soon as possible. My mind went blank, and I stumbled and dashed toward the hospital like the wind. The supermarket was right downstairs, so there was no need to cross the street. How could something happen? I only found out when I got to the hospital. She had deliberately walked 2 blocks to buy my favorite cake. While crossing the street, she was unfortunately hit by a drunk driver. Broken and scattered cakes lie at my feet. I collapse weakly at the emergency room door. My thoughts instantly pulled back to that day many years ago. Why does it always happen when I am happiest to be struck by a bolt from the blue? Why is the same tragedy happening? It has to happen twice. Why do I insist on going out tonight? If it weren't for me, she wouldn't have gone out alone, let alone encountered this disaster. Feeling guilty, she tore me apart and dragged me down, pressing me so hard I could barely breathe. I numbly signed one card after another. Critical condition surgery notice. No one knows how much time passed. The operating room lights suddenly went out. We did our best. What do you want to say? Let's hurry and say goodbye properly. Cheers echoed in my ears. Suddenly, I couldn't hear a single word from the rest. I groggily walked to the bedside. Yu Baiwei lay quietly, and when she saw me, she managed a faint smile at the corner of her mouth. Oh no, now I've really become your late childhood sweetheart. At this point, she still has the mood to joke around. Luckily, you used to keep telling me to carry my feet and think of you. Even if I left, I wouldn't have to worry about Hua Xiaoxiao. The tears I had been holding back suddenly burst forth, unable to suppress the breakdown in my heart any longer. I knelt by the bedside, furious beyond words. Yu Baiwei, please don't leave me, okay? It's all my fault, all my fault. The overwhelming grief chokes me out. Everything she wanted to say got stuck in her throat. Not a single word came out. You're not allowed to leave. I won't let you leave me. If you dare leave, I'll gather many people to celebrate at your grave. The smile on Yu Baiwei's face slowly faded, and her lips moved slightly, but I could no longer make a sound, filled with reluctance and longing, leaving me forever. Once again, I had completely lost her. Outside the hospital room came the cries of my child, along with the laughter and chatter of others. Only I was deeply consumed by grief, completely out of place with the surrounding lively atmosphere. My chest felt tightly blocked. A suffocating feeling swept through my body, and my consciousness gradually blurred. A crisp ringtone rang out. I opened my eyes again, and found myself in a strange room. A man in a white lab coat was looking at me with concern. Do you feel better now? I was stunned for a few seconds, then slowly regained consciousness and realized that this person was my psychologist. Lu Gua. Wipe your tears. He handed me a tissue, and only then did I suddenly realize that tears were streaming down my face, my chest still aching in waves. Yu Baiwei's pale, haggard face seemed to still vividly appear before my eyes for 2 long days. Only then did I speak hoarsely. Dr. Lu. What time is it now? It's 6 o'clock. 3 full hours of deep hypnosis. To me, it feels like half a lifetime has passed. I slowly exhale a heavy breath, my chaotic thoughts slowly pulling me back to reality. Yu Baiwei never came back to life. She left forever 5 years ago. Everything she just experienced was nothing but a dream woven by a psychologist for me. All reunions, companionship, and farewells were all false. Back then, she hadn't gone abroad for treatment, nor was there a chance of survival when she was sent for emergency treatment. Instead, she died on the spot, not even leaving me a single last word. My parents could never accept the tragic news of their only daughter's sudden death. After enduring 2 months in a daze, I left the city full of memories and sorrow. From beginning to end, the two elders never once complained about me, only whispered softly over and over. It was all her fate, yet I could never praise the woman in my heart. I can never forgive myself. I always stubbornly believed that if I hadn't said those words back then, she wouldn't have rushed to find me, nor would she have encountered that accident. All the subsequent tragedies would never have happened. That's all. I was trapped in guilt and grief, suffering for 5 whole years. My friends and family around me all urged me to let go of the past and look forward. I was also trying to let go, but the road ahead was uncertain. My eyes and heart filled with her figure. When no one else was around, her voice seemed to echo everywhere in my ears. Over the years, I had visited many famous doctors, but I could never soothe even a trace of pain deep in my heart. It wasn't until a friend introduced me to a doctor studying abroad. After hearing all about me and Yu Baiwei, I nodded in English, and so that illusion was defeated. She wove beautiful dreams for me again and again, filling all my unfinished regrets. In my dreams, Yu Baiwei was sometimes gentle and soft, sometimes domineering and domineering. Every word and action, every frown and smile is truly within reach, making me completely immersed and unable to extricate myself. In one illusory dream after another, I witness her departure time and again, enduring the heart-wrenching pain of losing a loved one. The difference is, every time we can stay together and say goodbye dignifiedly. After repeated hypnosis therapy, I thought I would gradually become numb and indifferent to her departure. But this time, the emotions deep in my heart were more tender and compassionate than ever before. I raised my hand to my chest, and it felt as if Yu Baiwei's gentle sigh echoed in my ears again. Xingu, forget me. From that day on, my mental state gradually improved, my illness gradually healed, and life seemed to return to normal. 2 months passed in the blink of an eye. I brought some gifts and made a special visit to Dr. Lugua. He looked at me and patted my shoulder with satisfaction. Judging by your complexion now, Lugua secretly conducted a human hypnosis experiment in violation of regulations. Besides me, countless patients suffering from psychological pain also became his test subjects. When I saw the news, I wasn't surprised at all. Actually, from the very beginning, I vaguely understood it, but I never cared about it. I just miss Baiwei too much. As long as I can see her again in my dreams and accompany her for a while, even if it means becoming a test subject, I am willing. In this world, only she can help me see the person I long for again. Even though I know this is just an illusory dream, even if every dream is destined to end in tragedy, I am still willing to rely on one fleeting old dream after another to barely survive in the human world. That day, I went to the real cemetery. I bought her favorite fresh fruit and handmade mango cake. Happy birthday to Yu Baiwei. I gently traced her photo on the tombstone, softly expressing my doubts. I'm slowly growing old, but every day you always stand in front of the best. Just like when I was little, she wouldn't snatch the mango from the cake. I sat cross-legged by the tombstone, quietly keeping her company, slowly eating the cake. After eating, I leaned sideways against the stone of the cup and chatted about the daily life. In a daze, light and shadow flickered before my eyes. I seemed to see Yu Baiwei in her 20s, wearing the jacket I had once given her. Her eyes curved with a gentle smile as she looked at me. Brother Shin, big lazybones, wake up. Yu Baiwei, you finally want to see me. She smiled and reached out her hand to me. Come on. I'll take you to our new home. Flip outside. My name is Yu Baiwei. I have a neighbor I grew up with Xiao Pengdun. She's soft all over. I always loved to be by her side every moment. My biggest childhood wish was to never be with her. After growing up, my biggest dream was to become her bride. But in the end, I never lived to see that day. An accident forever stopped me in my youth. Perhaps the bond between Xin Yenin and me was too deep, moving heaven. My soul did not fade away with the wind, but remained in the mortal world. At first, everyone was deeply grieved over my departure. But as days passed, everyone slowly moved past their pain and found new lives. Even my parents gradually let go of the past and began to live well. Only Xin Yenin remained trapped in memories of me. Unable to take a single step, I see countless deep nights where she silently weeps alone, her heart full of loneliness. How I wish I could go up, hug her, comfort her. But an invisible force holds her back, making her unable to move. I want to enter a dream and bring her a dimensional realm, but I couldn't do anything at all. I could only helplessly watch her quietly and watch her sink into sorrow, until she found that scheming doctor. At that moment, I wished I could break through the barrier between life and death to question and teach that unscrupulous doctor a lesson. She secretly implanted obsessions and countless emotions into people's minds, cruelly trapping Shin Yenin again and again in dreams, repeatedly enduring the pain of losing my idol fandom. I screamed again and again in my soul, forgetting my dad and living my own life well, but she couldn't hear anything. Later, that quack doctor was arrested by the police. I was secretly happy for a long time. My Shin Yenin finally didn't have to endure that torment over and over again. But on my birthday, I saw her take out a bottle of medicine with my own eyes. I recognized that thing. It was the replacement drug the doctor used to assist hypnosis. Without a moment's hesitation, she mixed the medicine into the cake she brought. I was so anxious I was at a loss, full of anxiety, wanting to scold her for waking up her stubbornness. But in the end, it was all in vain. Nothing could change anything. I could only watch helplessly as she ate the cake laced with the drug, bite by bite. Finally, she could see me. At that moment, I suddenly couldn't bear to blame her for half a lifetime. She's already had enough hardship, so I just gave her a gentle smile. Death is never the end of life. It's about being completely forgotten.